Good evening and welcome to the Bobby Moore Stand. I'm Gary and this is Chris. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm doing good, mate. How are you? You all right? Did you have a nice
I'm
weekend?
all right. I did actually. Let me light my seat so I was on the same height. I don't like being higher. That's my OCD playing up. Right. So yeah, good evening, everyone. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Actually, there's been a piece of movement in the transfer market as indicated the other night. Exactly the same deal as we were touting around. A loan with no obligation to for Evan Ferguson. Hopefully that'll be completed soon. Maybe that's the only bit of business, or maybe there'll be a late surprise for Andre Silva. So I've been away for it. It could happen, couldn't it? Still could happen. I'm not giving up on it, Chris. You know,
I want to give up.
never give up.
I don't want to see
Nah,
it.
no, I don't either. But look, I think we've got a lot of things to talk about, and what I want to do as well, and this might interest you, is look back at the history of the January transfer window to see just how crap it's always been, with one, maybe one and a half exceptions. And that is why we gave up listening to the nonsense, because it was clear what was going to happen. A leopard does not change his spots. And Sullivan is that leopard. So anyway, look, we've got a ton of talking points that we're going to get through, hopefully an hour or just over an hour. And but before we go there, can you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, the Bobby Moore Stand on YouTube? Hit the bell notification icon and please give the video a like. It really helps us. That's all we ask for, honest. So let's get on with the show. First of all, let's talk about the big news, which is the signing of Evan Ferguson for a reputed 15 games, which is until the summer. I think officially it's till the end of June or whatever it is. They do it on 6 monthly, don't they? This has been described as a Sullivan Masterstroke in a site called Hammers News, which, oh, come on, it's hardly a masterstroke, is it? I mean, you know, they offered him to us because we had Graham Potter. I mean, we were one of the top couple of clubs that they would have considered, but Graham Potter was a big factor in getting this player, because as we outlined the other night, and it turns out, you know, pretty much what I said to you the other night was bang on about the player and about the situation, the contract situation. I think there's been a lot of inaccuracies around this, and a lot of Graham Potter has got his work cut out to turn this player around. Let me put it like that. This ain't just about fitness and ankles and knees and stuff like that. This is about what's going around inside his head, and if anyone can sort that out, it's Graham Potter. But make no mistake, Brighton never wanted to put an obligation on this, or they weren't interested. And they weren't even interested in selling because they frankly don't know how much he's worth. They know how much he's worth at the moment, which is probably about 30 million. But that's because he's gone right off the boil, fallen flat, had loads of injury problems, doesn't appear to have his mind on training or making himself better. I don't know the cause of that, by the way. I don't know. It could be just a bad experience with a coach, or he might have fallen out with someone. I don't know the background. Can only speculate about that, and I'd rather not. But, you know, whatever it is, I'm sure Graham Potter understands it. I mean, Tony Bloom, the owner of Brighton, is still quite close to Graham Potter, and that's why he's being trusted. His wages are not 30k a week, by the way, has been reported. It's above that. I won't say exactly how much, but it's above that. I've just been asked not to, that's all. So when in Danger over the years, we've signed decent players. Now, Danger presents itself in just one form, really, as far as David Sullivan's concerned, and that is danger of relegation. I think even this year, we've budgeted to finish in 11th place, right? And I think we're 14th at the moment. So we're slightly below, we're probably 9 million below where we're going to be, 3 million per place. Probably the optimum we could get to if we had an amazing last 15 games, and I mean amazing, would be to finish 8th and scrape into the Conference League. That is unlikely, but you never know. With a striker, say Potter brings him in and he's on fire for 15 games. The upside of that is we could get into Europe. The downside of that is Brighton now have an asset worth 70 to 80 million, because that is what he was being touted as before his head went, or whatever happened. So that is why Brighton didn't want to sell for a knockdown price, because potentially they have something, a much more expensive, valuable asset there. So what do you think about all this, Chris?
I think my thoughts have changed a little bit in the sense that I'm just glad we've got a player in. I think we had to bring in a striker, right? You know how
Yeah.
important that was for us. I am disappointed in the sense that we don't have an option. I think it would have been good to have that option. Definitely not an
Yeah.
obligation. It would have been nice to have the option, just in case, as you said, let's say he smashes in a shit ton of goals, then we know we can get him at the end of the season if we choose to do so. So the fact that we haven't, it's always a bit of a concern, but I'm just focused really on trying to end this season well. So in that respect, I'm happy, but it does kind of bring back memories a little bit of, let's say for instance, he has a really, really good second half of the season. He bangs in loads of goals. We go up the league a little bit higher than obviously what we are at the moment. It kind of stinks a bit like the Jesse Lingard situation. Do you know what I mean? Because we had no option to buy. Certainly no obligation to buy. And obviously he kind of waited till his contract died down and he pissed off, whatever, right? So I think we can all agree at that particular time, at the end of the season when we had Jesse Lingard and, for that half, we would have loved to have signed him. Of course he would have done. He was phenomenal for us. So I want Ferguson to do well, but equally I'd be quite pissed off that essentially what we're doing is we're just increasing the value and doing Brighton a favour as well. So I suppose when I look at it, I'm happy because if he stays fit and he scores goals and we do well with him, then I suppose it's a win. It is a win. Of course it's a win.
Yeah, I mean, the Lingard signing, the loan signing, set off that period in Europe, didn't it?
Yeah.
So really, yes, it was on the, it was a shame we couldn't get him. We didn't have an option to get him then. But then his form did tail off at the end of that season. So I was always suspicious that if we brought him back, he'd be as effective as he once was. I think if he comes in and does a job for 15 games and gets us somewhere near Europe, or at least in the top half, then that is a good loan. That's a good loan.
Oh, it would be amazing loan, Gail, but it ain't going to happen, mate. I mean, we've got to be realistic with this, because I know I said, I think on the last show that we did, there is a possibility that we could see ourselves, maybe a little bit higher up, maybe finishing 8th or 9th. But when you look at it now, I mean, we're 10 points off of 8th, mate. 10 points is a lot. It's a lot of points to make up. It's a massive deficit. But not only that, if you look at the teams around us, the likes of, say, Crystal Palace, they're doing really well at the moment. Dare I say, even Everton are doing well under Moyes, right? So there's teams around us now that are going to be pushing potentially to try and finish in the top half as well, not just us. And frankly speaking, we don't necessarily, I don't think, have the strength in depth to really sustain a realistic challenge again into the top 10. I don't think we do, mate. Unless, of course, everyone stays injury free now between now and the end of the season, quite possibly. But the chances of that happening, I don't know. It's probably unlikely, isn't it?
I mean, to give you an idea of how badly Brighton want to fix this player, and he's not usable to them at the moment, they've just lost 7-0 away to Forest, and they're still sending him out on loan.
Well, remarkably, he made his comeback, didn't he, yesterday as a substitute? I think he had like about a 15-minute spell. First game back, and suddenly it makes you wonder whether they put him on just to say, you know what, he's fit, take him. You never know.
The coaches said apparently he can't use him, he can't work with him. So look, I just hope that Potter knows him, and he knows about the problem, and he knows how to address the problem. If he does, we've got a player on our hands, right? But I'm just saying, I'm going to be a little bit tentative about the early, the sort of early few games here. Don't expect him to burst onto the scene. Hopefully he does. Hopefully he scores a hat-trick on his debut and only improves from there. But let's see. He's got to get that appetite back, which he clearly had in that 20 game, that run of 20 or 15 or 20 games that he played for Brighton, where he scored all those goals. That was his high point, and he hasn't got anywhere near it since.
And that was a couple of years ago now, mate. He's got it all to prove. I mean, I suppose if you look at it from his perspective, he has now got an opportunity to put himself back in the shop window. So surely he's got to be motivated for that. It's just really a case of whether or not he can stay fit, mate. That's really what it comes down to. Because I don't think no one doubts the ability of the player. I think he's got a lot of ability, but it's the fitness thing that's always going to be the concern. So I just hope that we can keep him fit. Yes, you know what? Do you know what? At the end of the day, if his value does skyrocket at the end of the season, we don't have an option to buy him. I think I'm okay with it, mate. It's better than having no one, and of course, it means that we're doing well if he scores goals. So let's just hope he stays fit. That's really what it comes down to now. Obligation or no option or whatever. As long as he stays fit, then I'm happy.
So as I alluded to on Thursday, and I think you've noticed it as well, the transfer rumour mill has been in overdrive. I mean, properly in overdrive this
Yeah.
January. It's ridiculous, really. It's as if the people who report this stuff don't know David Sullivan. He's been here for 15 years. 15 years. He's never acted any differently. So what makes you think he would act differently now? He's not particularly loyal to any manager. They would all be thrown under the bus before him. Don't you know? That includes Allardyce, Moyes, who he loved. All those, he don't love anybody. So Potter is in the same boat as all the others. You know, as far as getting backed, he'll probably get backed in the summer because that is when Sullivan spends money. But then again, a lot could happen this summer because we could lose Paqueta. Yeah, he could, and you know, and that, you know, depending what you listen to, that sounds reasonably likely. And so if he's a really pivotal player for us again by the end of the season, Paqueta, we're going to miss him and he's going to need replacing.
And Kudus, mate. Let's not forget Kudus as well.
Yeah, Kudus as well. So, and I think Kudus would be the first out the door because they already put a price on his head at the beginning of January. But his form's been it's fallen off a cliff so much that really no one wants to take him. And I think what I alluded to the other day is true, that these top teams buy players who are consistent, and he's been far from consistent, right?
Yeah.
So let's go through a little exercise. People in the chat, you'll probably like this or not, as the case may be. Let us remind ourselves why Chris and I took this decision, that why the hell are we listening to all this nonsense? It is just nonsense. And let's look at the history. So let me just work out how to share on here. Oh dear.
This is going to make horrible reading, isn't it?
It does make horrible reading, yeah, and I'm sorry for that, but it is what it is, right? Now, if you look at since the January 2011, which is the first winter transfer window, we were struggling against relegation with Avram Grant. Now, you remember, he kept Avram Grant. We all knew he was fucking useless, but he kept him anyway because he was an old bloke, he was reliable, bit dodgy, but useless. So he got 2 broken loans in Robbie Keane and Wayne Bridge. He got a good Demba Ba, but it was only $500,000, but we sold him $7 million, I think, to Chelsea because he turned out to be a good player in the end. More luck than judgment, I suspect. And Gary O'Neill, who, to be fair, was a decent player. So $1.5 million spent to keep us in the Premier League, and he kept the manager because he couldn't spend on a new manager, of course, because it's David Sullivan. He had a contract to run until the middle of the year. So he kept him, got us relegated. We had to lose Demba Ba to Chelsea. He went on to
He went to Newcastle, didn't he? I think.
He went to Newcastle, and he ended up at Liverpool, didn't he? Where he what was the game where? No, he wasn't at Liverpool, was he? It was at Chelsea when Steven Gerrard slipped over, and they won the Premier League. They nicked it off him, didn't they?
Yeah. No, he went to Newcastle, didn't he? At the end of that season, obviously when we got relegated. He was really prolific, wasn't he? I remember when he was playing up front with Cisse, he was basically the top boy. And then after that, then he went to Chelsea, didn't he?
Yeah. So we're getting relegated. We're in right danger, and he spends $1.5 million and keeps the worst manager probably we've ever had, maybe apart from Lopetegui. 2012, we're in the second division, the Championship rather. He spends what, $2.5 million? No, $3 million on Vazte, good signing, $500,000. Nicky Maynard should have been a good signing, 1.75, and Ravel Morrison, which was clearly just a gamble, and a little arrangement between Evan Ferguson, who tried everything he could to get Ravel under control and didn't work. So he asked Sam Allardyce, his mate, to sort it out, which he couldn't either. But we've got a few good memories of Ravel. But anyway, that was to get us promoted. The big push to get us promoted was worth about $2.5 to $3 million. Weren't much of a push, was it? But we did it on the last day. Then we got back into the Premier League. Back to normal services resumed. Sean Maguire, Wellington Paulista, Emmanuel Pogatetz, with the latter two being on loan. All right, 2014, again, it's continued. Borriello, Nocerino, Razak, and Armero, 4 loans. Do you see a trend here, Chris?
Yeah, they're all shit, basically. I mean, I think ultimately, we can kind of summarise this when we get down to the end of this list because we know the players we signed in those windows, right? But really, you could probably only look at possibly 2 windows over the course of the last 10, 15 years that they've been in charge where you can say it's been successful because there are so many players there, mate. I mean, you just scroll back up again for a second, right? So you've got, all right, so I mean, that first section there, 2011, you look at those players that we signed. I mean, in fair, it was ridiculous because, as you said, I mean, Avram Grant, he should have been gone. They completely screwed up with regards to Martin O'Neill. He should have taken charge, but they leaked that, and he felt we were unprofessional. What a surprise! And yeah, and those players there. I mean, you can see Robbie Keane. He was at the tail end of his career. Wayne Bridge, he was played with injuries, couldn't get back into the Chelsea team. The only good player out of those, well, there was two, Gary O'Neill and Demba Bass. You're absolutely right. You look at the next season, we're in the Championship. We were making a push for promotion, right? So if you look at that list of players, well, Ricardo Vazte was pivotal in that. I remember Maynard, I think he scored 2 goals for us or something like that. He weren't overly prolific, but he scored, he was a decent signing for us. The next season, as you said, it is literally normal services resumed because Sean Maguire, he dropped down to Preston, I think, and he played in the lower leagues from recollection. Wellington Paulista didn't even make an appearance for us. Pogatetz was just like, I think we had a defensive crisis, didn't we, to bring him on loan because he was coming from, was it Borough? He was ex-Middlesbrough, wasn't he, Pogatetz?
Wolfsburg.
Yeah, because I know he used to play for Borough, didn't he? But that was when he was relatively half decent. And then, again, we got him towards the tail end of his career as well. As was the same thing with Marco Borriello. You know, I called him out the other day. You know, it's a classic Sullivan signing as a striker because, you know, he was, again, plagued by injuries. He had his best years behind him, and we signed him up. And I think he might have made 1 or 2 appearances, got injured, and he went back to Italy. I think Nocerino wasn't he wasn't a bad player. He wasn't at the end of his career. He was pretty decent. But then I think, you know, he went back, didn't he? He went back to Italy. But he'd just come off the back of the Euros as well. So he wasn't the worst signing.
No.
I mean, honestly,
Abdul Razak of Angie Makachakala, you know, fucking great signing that is. Also, don't forget to look at these stats on the right hand side. So the position when the window opened and the position, we actually dropped down a place in that first year, believe it or not. Right, we were top of the Championship when he failed to invest. Really, when you look at those 3 players, we finished 3rd and got promoted at Wembley. Arguably the best way of doing it, but we should. But with if you give Sam a few quid, he would have got us promoted first time. I feel sure of it. Now, look, 11th down to 10th, 19th down to 13th, up to 13th rather. So we've climbed in those 2. From 19th up to 13th. So this Borriello, that must have worked, right? We must have had a decent half decent side already, I'm guessing. I haven't done any homework in this. I've just got the list of players.
No, we
formatted as well.
Yeah, right? I remember that season pretty well. We definitely lacked firepower up front. So you're thinking, okay, we need a striker. We get Borriello in. I mean, it's just typical, really, isn't it?
So moving on, Daniel Henry from Limassol, Darren Randolph, who went and came again. And then 2016, this was the big season, wasn't it? Because January 2016, that was the season where we left the bowling, and we finished 7th, but on January the 1st we were 6th. Now you know, if they'd have invested in Slaven Bilic, and this is another common trend. If you look at this, when the transfer window opens, if we're pushing up, they will never invest to push up a bit further.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that says if you're not going down and you're just below halfway, they ain't investing to finish just above halfway. Who are you kidding? So it's all been paper talk and nonsense.
Well, I remember that season, Gal. So when you look at those signings we made in January, so you've got Sam Byron from Leeds, Manuel Emenike. I thought actually Emenike was all right. I remember he scored a couple of goals against Blackburn. But the thing is, you make a really valid point because we did have a really good season, and Sullivan absolutely had the chance to say, do you know what, let's just try and push it a little bit further. Maybe we could even, because there was a time, right? There was no doubt about it. There was a moment, you know, for quite a sustained period of time where we could have got Champions League that year in our final season at the Bowling
100%, 100%, because that was the year that Leicester won it, wasn't it? When it was a weak league.
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. But you look at that though, right? You think to yourself, Emmanuel Emenike. And I remember at that particular time, if memory serves me correct, Diafra Sakho got an injury, sustained that against West Brom. He was on crutches after that game. So in terms of trying to get a backup striker, we get Emenike in, who wasn't particularly prolific, I don't think, in his more recent spell at Fenerbahce. He was quite good, I think, in Italy, if memory serves me right.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, why did we not try and get someone a little bit better, something better than what we had, just to try and sustain that push?
Yeah, completely. Now, but what this tells you, most importantly, is, as Garino just said here, and we've been saying it over and over again, he only invests, literally only invests, if there is a relegation threat.
Yeah.
That is the only time he will spend money, the one and only time, which was proven when he brought in Thomas Souček and Jared Bowen for a combined 26 million. His best January transfer window ever. 2 top signings saved our ass.
Yeah, no, they did. They did, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our best January window that we've probably had in many years.
Yeah. But he didn't learn, did he? he went back. You know what we ended up doing was signing. Can you remember we ended up getting Ben Rama on loan for 6 months? They refused to pay his money up front. Made some bank interest on that, I would imagine. 25 million we paid for him. Frederick Alves of Silkeborg and Jesse Lingard. So again, arguably a decent window, and the window that got us into Europe. But again, you know, that was summer spending money really at 25 million. That was out of the summer budget. So he spent 3 million really on a loan and a permanent deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just a very, very fortunate situation where Lingard had to prove himself, had a chance to get back into the England squad, tried to grasp it with both hands, didn't quite manage it in the end, but he had an amazing season, and he arguably he rescued a dead career and got a little bit more money out of himself due to that move to West Ham. Very profitable for him and for us. Right. And then the following season, 22, you remember 22, this is the pivotal season where we are fifth. We're fifth on January the 1st.
Yeah.
Pushing for the Champions League places in the Europa League quarterfinals, in the League Cup quarterfinals. The FA Cup's just begun, so we ain't even played in it yet. We've got everything to play for. And he signs a centre-half, Craig Dawson, one of the best signings pound for pound ever, not criticising that. More luck than judgment, though.
Yeah.
And Brian, when do those signings come off? Hardly ever. And Brian Kinnear, who I've never heard of, Chris.
Well, I haven't either. I can't even remember him at all. Don't know where he ended up. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, Craig Dawson was, he's a bit of an icon, isn't he, at West Ham, and rightly so. Yeah. But come on, not a single West Ham fan would have thought that he would have, been as successful as what he was. But yeah, it's shocking though, because that particular season and that window, as you said, right, in terms of the opportunities in front of us, quarterfinal of the Europa League, Champions League possibility. But again, we said this the other day. I remember that season, particularly in that January, we were all calling out, we need a left back and we need a striker. You didn't do it. You know, another absolutely gilt-edged opportunity that could have really helped us.
Well, we were fifth then. We were sixth. We were sixth then under Allardyce, right? We were sixth under Bilic. None of those 3 times did he spend money. So what makes you think he's going to spend money when we're 14th?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, we're not going down. We're not going up very far.
It's just history repeating itself, season after season after season.
But
he'll never
I've just got to say though, Chris, Leopard does not change his spots. He will never change. So you might as well have a month off next January and just wait for the end until the loans turn up. Unless we're getting relegated, it might be an exciting window.
Yeah.
Then we had the great window, the memorable window. Sorry about all the character sets and fonts in here. I did do this very quickly. Sorry. Just imported it straight in without sorting it out. But we had Danny Ings, Luzau, who's still here, strangely, for 10 million from Sao Paulo. And the one that's missing here is, I think Danny Ings came in and Skamaka went out because we ain't got the outbounds here. This is just incomings, right? So we let Skamaka go for, I think, 20 something and bought Danny Ings for, I thought it was 18, not 15, but anyways.
I think it was 15, yeah.
And then last season, I think the most catastrophic January transfer window ever. Again, I haven't got the outbands here, but we know they are. Pablo Fornells, Ben Rama, Kera, Agwed, lots of different people. And who came in? Calvin Phillips. For exactly the same money that we sold in overall for what we sold Pablo Fornells for, a legend.
But you know what, though? Gal, you say that's the worst window. For me, that's not the worst window. The worst window.
Well, the worst one is this one. The worst one is this one. Yeah, by a long way. But I'll tell you what, the other one that I remember really clearly was this window here where Sam Allardyce was at. I don't like Sam Allardyce. He was fucking flying that year. And what he did was, not only did he spend nothing, he told the press that he was going at the end of the season. And we dropped like a stone. We were 4th to 6th all season to that point. We dropped down to like 14th or something. Finished the season there. Pathetic. Yeah. He put a fucking bomb under success, and it makes you think why he does that. I think you get to a certain stage, especially Europe. You need more players, right? More signings. You get to a certain stage, like Brighton did, where they started challenging for the top 6, and suddenly the investment gets serious. You have to go out and buy proven players. It's a whole different ball game. No longer can you shop at Aldi's middle aisle, or the stock rooms of Will Salthouse and Barry Silkman. And then this season, look, remains to be seen. But literally, they have pissed this window up the wall. Firstly, they delayed getting rid of the useless Lopetegui for as long as they could, until they had to, until it was just crisis point and nobody could deny that he was shit anymore. Got rid of him, bought in Potter, didn't do anything for a week. And transfers weren't even mentioned for a week. And then after a week, they get rid of Tim and more delay in taxes. And they bring in Macaulay. All they do is talk about Tim and badmouth him. And then we get a load of nonsense for a week, like the robbery thing, nearly done. Oh, Sullivan's changed the terms, it's off. He weren't going to spend money. I should have had my head screwed on when I reported that. There was no way he was spending money, real money. A loan only in this situation. Yeah. If anyone thinks I've got that wrong, let me know. It's not a good spreadsheet, by the way.
Well, mate, I think
really shitty spreadsheet. But
yeah, there's one player you missed off on that. Who's actually no one's going to forget. That was Jordan Hugill. I'm pretty sure we signed him in a January window as well, didn't we?
Here he is.
Oh, he is there. Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, you're right. There he is.
2018. What a memorable window that was. João Mario, Patrice Evra, and Jordan Hugill. And that was the window that sealed David Moyes' fate to exit the club for Manuel Pellegrini, if you remember.
I thought João Mario was okay. I mean, if you look at those three,
he was a good player, and he went on to be a good player as well, Chris.
Yeah. He was decent, but Patrice Evra was on his way out, right? I mean, this is the thing. The common theme that you find here is you either get a really crap striker, or you get players that are bang out of form, like a Calvin Phillips, as an example, or players that are basically at the tail end of their careers, like Patrice Evra. You know, it's every single January window.
That was a fucking joke. When you look at this, Patrice Evra cost an absolute fortune in wages.
Yeah,
he was brought in because he's good for the dressing room. So really, get a children's entertainer to come in and do some juggling and stuff. You know, if you want someone that's good for the dressing room.
That's nonsense.
João Mario, serious player on loan. We were lucky to get him actually, $1.5 million. I think he was surplus at Inter at the time. Jordan Hugill was that. No, honestly, nothing against Jordan Hugill. Was a good, honest pro, but he was never ever going to be Premier League class. He didn't get a kick. So that was a little deal between Moyes and his brother, wasn't it?
That was a very iffy deal. Let's be honest. I mean, there's no way that he cost 10 million.
No way at all. But the interesting thing about Hugo is we loaned him out, and I think the loan fees we got off him more than covered that 10 million. Believe it or not, we didn't make a loss on Hugo.
Business, yeah, good bit of business.
I don't think I did this calculation a little while ago, and I don't think we made a loss on him. I could be wrong, but I don't think we did.
I'll tell you what, mate. Right, the player above him, right, in Robert Snodgrass. That's an interesting one because 10.2 million. Like, I love Snoddy because I thought he was a good player. I liked him. You know, from his set pieces were great. I think he was great for the dressing room, all that sort of stuff as well. But he was fucking Dimitri Payet's replacement. Let's not forget that. Because Payet went out, didn't he? He went out, and we brought in bloody Snodgrass. He was the replacement. Unbelievable.
You had to feel for him, didn't you? I mean, let's go down here and just highlight the ones that are any good. I'm not even going to say Ravel Morrison. I've got to give Ravel Morrison was pretty good for the Spurs goal, right?
Yeah.
But now it's really slim pickings when you go down here and you sort of say who's any good. We ended up loving Snodgrass, right?
Yeah.
Bowen is just a hero. Souček has been brilliant. Benrahma scored in the final.
Yeah, he's a success.
Lingard was great. Craig Dawson was immense. I'm not going to say Danny is success here. He ain't been. And Ferguson, who knows, right? So that's 36 players, if you don't count the header row. 36 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 successes out of 36. And yeah, it was all Tim's fault that we made bad signings, weren't it, Sully? You muppet. So anyway, look. So thank you, everybody, for letting me go through that because it was it's something I looked at earlier. Somebody asked me to look at it, and I didn't think it would be as bad as that. Yeah. I mean, it's stunning. No, it is. It's stunning.
Gal, it's a reality check for the amount of times that we've been talking about potential transfers coming in.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you just think to yourself, good God, why did we
bother? Why did we even get excited, Chris? Why did we even get excited? It's pathetic. So we've spent, the usual. We've spent between 1.5 and 2 million, including agents' fees, on Evan Ferguson. That will either work because Graham Potters can sort him out, or it won't work. All right. Either way, it's a cheap loan, which is what I said in the thumbnail, because it is. It is. Hopefully, he turns into Mr. Superstar, and we won't be buying him if he's 70 or 80 million at the end of the season. He's had, because he's a young striker. If he starts you're pulling up trees with us, he won't be with us next year. So, a Sully Masterstroke, that deal, apparently. What a load of shit. Okay. So, anyway, I just want to cut to the chase here, people. You know what I mean? So, look, just to reiterate, whether we're halfway or gunning for Europe or in the latter stages of a cup competition, it matters not to Sully. He only cares about getting relegated. And I think that is what that data categorically showed you there.
Yeah.
It can't be denied.
Yeah, no, it can't be. I mean, look, let's. I think to be fair to Sullivan, at least he has put his hand in his pocket in summer transfer windows.
Yeah.
At certain stages, he's certainly done that. You know, particularly under Moyes, where he gave him £500 million to go and spend. You know, he did do that over the course of 3-4 seasons. But it's always, as you say, it's always at that point in January where you think you could just go that little bit further. You could get Champions League, you could get European football, you could get to a semi-final.
It don't interest him, Chris. It don't interest him.
I know, but that's the crazy
The
thing.
Conference League, he takes credit for the Conference League for keeping hold of Moyes. He had no intention of sacking Moyes because he thought Moyes was the only one to keep us up. He was staying regardless. But then he says, masterstroke by me. I didn't listen to the fans. No, mate, you got lucky. Like you got unlucky with Avram Grant. You got very lucky. And you got unlucky with Lopetegui as well. And every other bloody manager you've signed other than Bilic, who you sacked as quick as you could once you used him as a fan's favourite to get into the stadium unopposed. We know your little games. And as for Karen Brady, you know, listen, they're two cheeks of the same arse.
Yeah.
Don't ever think that there's a split in the boardroom and there is anything like a fucking wafer between those two, right? Because it's bullshit. Anyway, right. That's just something I had to say. Because it's just something I heard and I couldn't believe what I was hearing, right? So anyway.
What, the masterstroke, yeah? The masterstroke.
No, that Brady was somehow responsible for bringing Potter in, and that's why Sullivan was angry, and you know, it's her man and she was doing transfer deals. Bollocks, she is. She's doing everything with his seal of approval. She will never cross him. She's been involved in every business dealing with him since he bought her Birmingham City for some reason back in wherever, right? Bought her a football club because she was a talented 23-year-old apparently, because everyone does that. They done a good job there, didn't they? Built it up, sold it to a fraudster. Yeah.
So what do you reckon, mate? Do you reckon we're going to get any players in tomorrow? What do you reckon?
Well, I think Andre. I ain't given up on Andre yet. I think Andre Silva could be the. I think you're allowed 2 domestic and 2 international loans, aren't you? Or are you? Or is it 2 total? Can someone tell me in the chat? Someone would be wiser than me in the chat.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what the what the limit is? I thought it was 2 international and 2 domestic. Just tell me if I'm right or not. John, you good point, John. It is Baroness, the Honourable Member Brady.
Yeah.
I don't know what her kennel club name is. You know, they always get a kennel club name in the House of Lords. It's Lord and Lady, whatever, Baroness, whatever of whatever. You know, it's that sort of thing. Okay, so
We are still linked with a few more players, though, mate. So with regards to Andre Silva, I actually think that one's dead now because it's gotten so quiet. I just don't think that one's
broke me heart. He's broke me heart, right?
There you go.
As you know, we did an early transfer window show. We closed the transfer window on Thursday night with a loan with no obligation for Evan Ferguson. That was definitely happening. We knew it was in the pipeline at the time, and we called it. We've been calling Andre Silva for obviously about 3 weeks now, every day, and just because we believed it was too good to be true. I like to think in some way that, because I know a lot of other people got on this bandwagon as well, I like to think in some small way we helped change their minds and not get him. I hope so, because he was so clearly a fucking liability waiting to happen, wasn't he?
Well, he was. But we've still signed another player that's injury prone.
Well, yeah, never give up on Silva though, because Silva ain't fit until tomorrow, which is funny enough when Callum Wilson gets fit.
Yeah.
And
He's
Silva,
gone though, isn't he? He's signed for
Silva
another
is
club,
Silkman's and Wilson is Salthouse's. Yeah, he's gone to some.
Gal, the 2 players that we've still been strongly linked with, right? So there's that Elie Kroupi, this
That's
French,
disgusting, Ray. That's disgusting.
French 18-year-old striker from Lorient in the second tier of the French league, right? So apparently we'd bid 15 million for him, with another 10 million in add-ons. I don't know whether you choose to believe this or not. I really don't, because Chelsea are apparently interested in him. I think Bournemouth are also interested in him as well. I heard some reports saying he's meant to be the new Neymar. If he is, we're definitely going to fucking get him on. Let's be honest. But again, that's the one player that I don't know. It's been strongly linked today, and the other one is that Swiss player from AC Milan. Was it Noah? a Catholic.
Oh,
I think I
Chris,
mentioned him a number of weeks ago.
you know, I can barely. You know, I've been away for a couple of days, and you know how you do, pretending not to look at football news. I was sitting on the toilet reading football news, scrolling through it, and I read about that Celtic thing. I know it's a bit too graphic for some of you. You don't want that picture in your head, dear. But you know, it is a reading room. Everyone normal reads in the toilet. I do as well, and so. Yeah, I was going through it, and a Celtic striker I've never heard of. Now that might just be me because I take no interest in.
He's a young kid though, Gal. He's a young kid.
Yeah.
So this is the thing.
I didn't even read on, Chris. I didn't even read on because I read this thing about, oh, you know, it was like a woolly worded statement, which I immediately called bullshit on, where they said, oh yeah, we're looking to do a West Ham insider said, oh, a West Ham insider, we might be looking to do a pre-contract agreement. Which means we might get him in the summer, or we might even get him now. And I'm thinking, there's a lot of mights in that statement, you know? It's just like, it's all fucking bullshit.
Gal, 6 international loans, 2 domestic, according to Darren Turner.
Ah, right, okay. So Darren, so that means we can bring Andre Silva in. Excellent.
Hold up. Right, moving to the next comment here from Daz.
I don't want Silva.
We don't want him. We're
taking the piss out of him for weeks.
Yeah, we were just literally saying that he is exactly the type of player we would go for on the basis that he's bang out of form. He's at the tail end of his career and he's injured. It all stacks up for us to be in another signing. Do you know what I mean? That was really what it was about. Yeah, we don't want him. Trust me.
Daz LB 72. We got excited about Andre Silva after Chris did a show reviewing him and absolutely read out all the reasons to not get him. And we found out he was a Silkman client, and we thought he's 29, probably a last chance of a decent deal. This is too good to be true. He's coming home. He's coming home. So we've been calling it every day since. It's just an ongoing bullshit, right?
But we wouldn't have been surprised, though, is the truth. We'd not have been surprised if we did sign him, you know.
Butcher, you know very well that weren't my true Excel skills. You know I've got more than that. I've got more in the locker, right? Yeah. Right, so is there somebody on another channel who told us we were signing Alcatraz or whatever? I don't know who that is, and probably maybe don't know. To be honest, I've not been watching other channels. I had a glimpse at a few like last week, but honestly, it was my year end on Friday. I could do nothing. That's over now, and then we're on to next year, and we're at the transfer window. Life suddenly got easier overnight.
Oh, mate. Honestly, if you go back, and for everyone in the chat, when you look at every single player that we've been linked with over this window, it's actually quite laughable when you look back and you think, God, you know what? Did we really think we were going to get him? I mean, even if you look at John Duran and like that whole fiasco with the 43 or 57 million bid, whatever it was, right? I mean, come on, look at the amount of money he's gone to on Saudi. Like, he would have known about that. That was, that kind of deal is not structured in a matter of days. That would have been in place for a little while, right? So the fact that we're being linked with it is an absolute farce. But it's a complete
all
farce.
That stuff, and I was sucked in as well twice. I got sucked into the Duran thing because I thought they're actually reporting that we've made a bid of 57 million. I thought that must be real. And then I looked at it and realised it wasn't, because you've always got to read the actual wording. The wording usually gives it away. You know, unless it says West Ham officially have submitted a 57 million pounds offer plus add-ons to Aston Villa for John Duran, that is not a 57 million base offer, which is what they wanted, right? Celtic not happy. Garino, this is a side benefit or not of all of this pissing off other clubs, right? We just piss off other clubs for fun, and they won't want to do business with us in future when either we've got someone to sell them or they've got someone we want to buy. They won't want to do business with us because we act like fucking amateurs. So I must stop swearing. I'm swearing a lot tonight. Let me calm it down. It's all that talking about Sullivan. Sorry.
Mate, there's clubs already that do not want to deal with West Ham as a result of Sully. You know, the list goes on and on and on because it is an embarrassment. I mean, even if you look at these two players I've just called out just now, right? So this Eli Krupi, so Chelsea want him as well. Do you think they're going to be faffing around with like 10, 15 minute bid and all these add-ons based on, him winning the Ballon d'Or and whatever it's going to be? Of course they won't. They'll just go out and spec by it. So, whether that one will come up, I'll be surprised. If Chelsea legitimately want to sign this player, then there's no chance in hell we're going to get him, because they'll just go out and they'll do it. They won't be faffing around with these silly ass bids that we come up with,
It's like I have two theories on Tim, right? And look, I hope you're joking, skeptic. There are loads of players out there to sign if you want them. It's just when you're struggling against relegation. When you're struggling against relegation, it's difficult to sign players because, of course, it is. They price you out because they know you're desperate. When you're sitting quite comfortable, It's pretty easy to sign players. Yeah, Potter said the same thing, like Chris said, right? I'm not gonna undermine
He
the
said
genius.
he said
grandpa.
it's easy. He said
Yeah,
it's easy to sign players. Obviously, the difficulty is, are they going to fit in from a cultural standpoint? Have they got the right ability to fit into the style of play, wherever
yeah.
it's going to be, right? But I mean, so I don't buy all of that bollocks. I think there are always players
Well,
to be had out there. There definitely are. And also, bearing in mind, Gal, we're looking at building and bolstering our squad because we're on our knees with regards to injuries, particularly from a defensive point of view. I cannot believe for 1 second that we couldn't have gone out there and signed a
no.
defender that could accept, even if he's just going to be there as a backup. I can't believe there weren't other players out there that we could have gone for. I can't. There's no way. Adam Webster, he can't even get into the Brighton team. Do you honestly think that we couldn't have got him? I think, of course, we could have got him if we wanted him.
Of course we could. But after I reported on him as the new Craig Dawson, I decided to look a bit more in depth. Yeah, Craig Dawson. Right. Florian Pettenberg. So Randy's just said Florian Pettenberg, who is a genuine source. I think he speaks the truth. This guy has said 2 hours ago that Andre Silva is going to have a medical at Werder Bremen. So thank God for that. Thank God.
You know what'll happen? He'll probably fail the medical at Werder Bremen, come to West Ham and pass it, and then we'll sign him.
He can't fail a medical. He declared he's going to declare himself fit tomorrow. As long as the medical's tomorrow, he'll be fine, right? Moyes won't sign anyone over 25 now. Yeah. Well, that was all a game. And I'll tell you what, I've got 2 theories. Let me go back to the 2 theories I've got on Tim. Number one is a bit, how can I say? There are 2 sides to this. One I'm pretty sure about. The other one I'm being a little bit jovial, right? The first one is, and I'm pretty sure this happened, is that he went to sign players, took the company jet to sign the likes of Kudus, to Debo, Alvarez, and I don't think the club ever thought he could sell West Ham to those players. Lo and behold, he comes back with them, and I think that was a surprise. I think we'd rather do the we tried thing, going after big players and not getting them, right? And that plays into my second piece. When he came back and he had the jet pictures, I personally think that was a really bad mistake by Tim, putting himself out there as the face of West Ham and undermining Sully's vanity, because suddenly he's being seen as the power, the sort of heir to the throne and all that. And there's no way Sully was putting up with that. So I don't know what part or if any of that is true. This is just a couple of theories that I've got. I feel pretty good about him, though. I feel pretty good about him, I must admit. Let me know what you think in the chat. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think. Come on, let's be honest. I never expected us to get someone like Mohamed Kudus into West Ham. I didn't, particularly when there were other big teams going in for him. So I think Tim done an incredible job to bring in Kudus, as he did with Alvarez. I know he's blown hot and cold a bit this season, but he's still a quality player. So he did. He made some very good signings, but I think they've just made him to look like a bit of a dick, which I don't think he is. I don't. I really don't. Apparently, here you go.
Sorry.
Latest ITK post. Have you seen this one, Gal? Yeah. Apparently, so. Posted by Cum. I don't know how much you want to believe in these like Mother Brown yet. But
well, it depends who posts on Cum. To be honest, some of them are really reliable, and they don't claim to be. But look, everyone, all of these guys, they've got their sources. I doubt anybody knows what's going on inside Sullivan's very weird head, right?
So here's the thing.
Even if he opens his trap, I wouldn't believe the words coming out.
So this is the report from this German journalist saying that we failed to get me in because they want to get up to Liga 1. So they're going to basically keep hold of
French, Chris, good French.
If that's, thank you, going back to my GCSE years, mate. If that's the case, then why the fuck is all this noise about putting out bids? Because we would have known that. As soon as you make an inquiry, they're going to tell you, say no. Well, you know what? We're not going to let him go. Just fuck off.
This is the thing.
We'll stick it out there to the media and say we're bidding 25 million for a player.
Exactly that, right? When I was sitting on the toilet, it gave me a certain bowel movement, I have to say, right? Because there's a part of the story that I was sitting there thinking, if this guy at Celtic is so fucking sought after, such a hot talent, why are we announcing to the world that we're trying to put a deal together for him?
I know.
Another bit of bullshit. So add all the clues up, people. I mean, look, we've got a lot of bright people who follow this channel, and I think capable of bloody reading an article and ignoring the headline, and read the words, the actual words, and what's being said and how it's phrased, because it's really important. They put a little might in there, or a little tactical if or something like that. It's just it completely undermines the validity of the article. Also, be careful if it's off Hammers News or several other sites like that, because honestly, they're templated. It's clearly automated, where they just put a you know, they've got like 2 lines of stuff to say. They planted down the bottom of a big templated, standardized article filled with ads. So you have to go through all the ads, all the pop-ups and everything.
Right to
and
the
then
bottom.
you get to this meaningless shit down the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
West Ham have been looking at him, and it's like, but the actual, I don't know, maybe the headline was West Ham signing or West Ham putting in a bid. You scroll right through all of that shit, you get to the bottom, it's like, yeah, West Ham have been looking at him for a little while. What? You just made me click on that, and I've just read all that bollocks, and you're telling me that they've been looking at him.
This could be someone saying to David Sullivan, what do you think of Mbappe? And he said, oh, I think he's a good player. Would you like to have him at West Ham? Yeah, of course I would. Next day, it'd be David Sullivan shows massive ambition, expressing interest in Kylian Mbappe, bringing him to the London Stadium. Right, that's the way this shit happens. It's just interpretation, convenient interpretation of shit.
So this comment here by BJJ, right? So yeah, Ferguson, I think that one's looking nailed on, unless somehow he doesn't pass his medical. So this is the other player I was just talking about, that Noah Okafor. So I would actually really like him, because if you look at I've done a bit of research on him. I did do this a number of weeks ago when we were initially linked with him. So he can play left wing, right wing, and he can play through the middle. But he is absolutely rapid, this guy. Absolutely rapid, really good dribbler of the ball as well. He'd be a good.
Can you put that one up again? Sorry, I didn't mean to take it down. The one that you had,
yeah. So, he's a player. He looks like a player. He looks like someone that's got, you know, well, he's I think he's still about 23, 24. He's still pretty young. But,
is he a striker or a midfielder?
No, he predominantly comes, so he plays as part of a forward front three, but he typically plays on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, but he can also play through the middle. But I think his best position is on the left wing, okay? But he's really fast. Like, honestly, he is absolutely rapid. But the problem with him, well, I say the problem with him, he probably won't sign him anyway, but Spurs are also looking at him as well. Are we serious about signing him? I don't know. Only time will tell over the course of the next 24 hours.
Listen, if it's a young talent, honestly, like I always say on here, we've just shown you the evidence. That's what I believe. Nothing would make me happier if he broke his habits of a lifetime and actually bet the manager. It's what I want.
Gary, point to make here, right? We talk about young talent, and how many times over the course of the last 15 years, and even beyond that, actually, let's just think about underneath Sullivan. The amount of young players that we signed in January windows and sometimes in the summer windows where we're banging on about this kid's going to be an absolute superstar. And they've got nowhere close, not even made our first team. So if you went back to that list, for instance, you'll see players on there that we would honestly like that we were waxing, but not us, but the club of wax miracle about, like Sean Maguire, prime example, right? Coming from Ireland, scored a hatful of goals. Oh, he's going to be amazing. There are so many players like that we've signed. You know, we signed one last week, this week, haven't we, as well? I forget his name. Is it Landers? I can't remember. Yeah. Again, I hate the way we hype these players up. Just bring them in and just fucking keep it quiet. If he's 17 years old, just let him get on, play for the under-23s, give him a bit of experience, and then if he's doing well, then talk him up. Not
exactly, because that's what they did at Brighton. At Brighton, that's what they do. They sneak him in through the back door. They put him in the squad for a couple of years. I don't expect to see him. This is what would have happened if Guilherme had joined Brighton. You wouldn't have heard about him for 2 years. Well, they wouldn't have paid that much for him to start with. But anyway.
Well, we never paid that much for him anyway.
No, of course we didn't.
But this is the thing. We say all this stuff to try and get the fans excited. That's why they do this, and they put it out in the press scout. When they put the youngsters up.
We've seen the latest Black Country. According to Sky Sports, Ferguson has passed his medical, and on the way out, he fell down a step, broke his ankle, and now he's back in a plaster cast. All right.
And we're obligated to buy him at the end of the season as well.
There's a bit of a clarification here. Hang on a minute. So Andy says, I think we've said we'd be interested in 80 players this window. I think it's more, you know. I saw one summary early in the window, which was like a catch-all of every play you've ever bloody heard of. And I think they've basically worked through that list. And it's a thing to say, I called it first, I'm an ITK. Oh, fuck off, right? You can't do that. If you call someone out and we sign them, maybe you'd be an ITK. I'm an IKN, as you know. So is Chris. I know nothing. Garino, Celtic not happy with Cummings' agent, not us. But do you honestly think they're happy with us? Garino, I can't believe they would be. Can't believe that Duran sold his soul to Saudi already. Well, it's a lot of money to sell your soul for. And if you're on the bench at Villa, what difference does it make? He comes from a rough place, rough background, you know, that Colombian. He's been brought up in poverty, absolute poverty. Now he's been offered a fortune to play football. Be difficult to turn down, wouldn't it?
Oh, it's a lot of money, mate. It's a lot of money. You put yourself in that situation. There's nothing stopping him from staying in Saudi for a couple of years, Gal, and then he can come to the Premier League anyway. Because he's certainly not kind of hit his peak yet, has he? So I don't blame him for that move at all.
I mean, look, there's one day of the transfer window left. I expect the channels to go to town on fucking linking us with every once in a while. But I also believe that it'll be one of them, don't go to bed DG and then nothing happens. But again, if something does, fantastic. I really don't want to be proven right. In fact, it ain't even being proven right or wrong. I'm just showing the evidence. You make your own mind up whether it's right or not. I'm not telling you what to think. Not my game. So, elbow 700k a week. What the bloody hell's that? Who's that?
He's on some silly.
A week?
I don't know if it's that much, but he's on some silly money though.
Come on, Chris. No one turns that down. So 700. No one turns that sort of money down, right? Sorry, he's done nothing wrong there.
How old is Duran? What is he, like 21 or 22 or something?
Yeah, about 22, 23, I think.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
My God, that is like him and his family are just never going to have to work ever again, and their kids and their kids. Black Country, Randy. How many broken bones does he have at the present moment? Is that Ferguson? I don't know. I don't think
it's his ankles, isn't it? He's got dodgy ankles.
Yeah,
Ferguson.
he's got wankles, Chris. Wankles. Latest ITK. Is this the one that we had up earlier? Lauren, let's go down to the bottom. Right, let's go down to the bottom. Sorry, people, if I've missed one of your comments. But anyway, look, let's move on and just talk about. Let's just clarify something. They're all the same in the boardroom, right? Sullivan is the ringleader, but Brady is the same. She's got no shares, so she's got no power. The Gold clan they completely vote with David Sullivan every time. I don't know why, because apparently they didn't like each other very much, but they were business colleagues. But it doesn't matter in business, which is why if you're making a point about Karen Brady being loyal to her friend, that won't matter in a business context, right? When it comes to money in business, she'll throw him under the bus. She'll ignore him. That don't happen. No one expects it to happen. Kretinsky, he had an option to buy out David Sullivan shares, which he purchased for 18 million when he first bought his stake in the club way back when. So in 2022, he could have bought out all of David Sullivan's shares for a pre-agreed price. Done. He decided not to. That tells you all you need to know about Kretinsky and his intent. His intent was a land deal at West Ham. And so he's, and I know he's been meeting with the LLDC or wherever they are, the landlords, trying to wangle away to get his hands on that land. And I think that is the time you'd see him make his move if he got his hands on the land. And we'd be playing out in Thurrock somewhere in some little Leicester stadium on the banks of the Thames.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before. You do wonder what would happen, don't you?
Yeah.
If he took over. Fuck me. Yeah.
Yeah, and so nobody in that boardroom at the moment is going to come to our rescue. So don't get your hopes up about anybody. Don't think there's a division. You know, they were even divided on Lopetegui right up until it got to the point when no one could deny it. They were united, rather, until nobody could deny it anymore. And then suddenly, and still Sullivan put up a fight.
How clueless can that ball be if they're divided in their opinions on Lopetegui?
Yeah.
I mean, it was glaringly obvious, after 10, 15 games, but we continued into January. I mean, how could there be a divided opinion whether or not he was the wrong choice? Yeah. Again, it was down. Honestly, I put a lot of this down, Gal, to that fucking January transfer window because he ate over half of that, didn't he? As a result of him still being imposed.
Don't forget as well, Karen Brady, relationship with Sullivan goes back a long, long time. Yeah. Her dad, very rich man. She was a very privileged woman. She's been handed every opportunity on a fucking plate her whole life. Best education. There's a football club. Go and run it. Suddenly, Baroness Brady, right? Brilliant. Very hard worker. Worked her way up, she did. Right. Well, her dad, very rich bloke, forget his name. He was David Sullivan's best customer at Daily Sport used to buy advertising space. The comic posing as a newspaper, which I must admit, when Bobby Moore was, I know they helped him out by giving Bobby Moore a job when he most needed it, but I'd more blame the FA and West Ham for that.
Yeah,
because
totally.
There's no way. Bobby Moore dies, they put a fucking great big statue up of him. He never should have been working for that fucking Muppet, right? So, having to stoop that low and work for that paper, fucking insulting.
It is. Oh, totally, mate. Disgusting. Yeah. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
But they love that, though. Sully loves that, though, doesn't he? Just to kind of stick out, you're with anyone who gave him a job.
Yeah,
he loves it.
We're up to Bobby Moore. Yeah, fuck off. Right. Yeah, and he did. Officially, he did. But somebody else should have. Yeah. So, but anyway... unfortunately, Bobby Moore was not a very good businessman. Every business that he ran just went. He had pubs, he had sports shops, he had everything. He was clueless with money. So it was just such a shame. He had everything else apart from it couldn't handle money. So right. So look, that's it. it's never going to change. Not while Sullivan and this board are there. The only way it will change one day is if we've got someone new and ambitious who is representing the fans on the board, or the fans get some kind of say in the running of the club, which we just don't have. And Hamish United are trying at the moment, again, to get the concessions reversed. Let's see what happens to that. A decision is expected out of the club. We're supporting them, those guys, Hamish United, done an amazing job up and down the country, linking up with other fan groups. And I think the only way forward with football in this country is to unite with the other fans. You've got to forget this tribal nonsense. And I mean all of the other fans, right? You've got to forget this tribal nonsense and put this behind us and join up, because you get people together. That is what makes a difference. Exactly like the Big Six did, or the Big Four with the European Super League. The fans got angry. They got together. They kicked it into touch. If all 20 Premier League teams fans get together, it's a very different story to one or two having a bleating and moaning, right?
Yeah,
that is how you do it.
I'm really intrigued to see how how this goes, because I hope something happens. It needs to happen, doesn't it? I mean, fucking hell, in terms of favouring the fans. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. I don't know what way it's going to go, though, Gal. Do you? I mean, no. It's
no, but no, just never accept it. Never accept Sullivan. If you know you're listening to someone who's repeating Sullivan's message, fucking don't listen to that person anymore. That's my advice. That's what I do. Yeah. I just tune them out. Don't listen to them anymore. As far as I'm concerned, what they've got to say is invalid. Right? I don't want to know what he's thinking and what he's saying, because he's a player. He will, whatever he's saying is what he wants you to hear and what he wants you to repeat. And that's the message that gets saturated out there, right? But I'm going to leave that little obvious now. And that little thing about, don't go to football, that's the only way to hurt them. Well, fuck off. I bought season tickets. Of course I'm going to go to football. If everyone else decides, if there's it's like herding cats with West Ham fans. You try and get all that crowd pulling in the same direction, it's borderline impossible. Right?
Of course it is. It's absolutely impossible.
I would happily join in for any idea that was actually that I thought held water and had a chance of working. I would be fully behind it, even if that included not going to games. But you can't just make a single stand, can you? Or a few hundred in a stadium of 60,000. What's the point?
No, you can't.
Season tickets are expensive.
It's fucking easy to say that if you don't actually go to games. Oh, don't go to games. Do you know what? You don't fucking go to games, so you can't really say that. Secondly, it's not even just about that, right? I think at the end of the day, as you said, it can be just a select number of people that are going to say, "Oh yeah, we won't go to games." It's not going to make it. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever. I just don't. I don't understand. And also, even if we don't go to games, Gal, right? What we're saying we're doing here, so we're not going to sell it on ticket exchange. We're not going to sell the tickets, because actually the basis of us not doing this is to make sure no one turns up. Well, we lose our season tickets as a result of that if we don't go to games as well. So it's almost near on impossible. You know that.
Totally is. It totally is. And look, let's move on to Graham Potter now. And look, me and Chris, we ain't got a line, a narrative on this platform. I can say something. Chris can choose whatever fucking way he wants to go. We're two independent people here, right? I can never tell him what to say. So, my opinion is that I'm going to back Potter all the way this season, and I know that the next few games are going to be difficult. You've got to acknowledge that. You've also got to acknowledge that the first few games were very, very difficult. We knew that before he even came in. Then he had 3 games in a week because of that ridiculous, agenda that we had, the schedule that we had over Christmas and everything. And when it comes, pathetic, really pathetic. And so we ended up with 3 games in a week. We really didn't need that Palace game. That is the only game he's let us down so far. And let us down, the players ran out of steam. It weren't really him letting us down. It was a mistake.
And it was a depleted squad as well. Right? Let's just not forget, it's not just about them being tired. We didn't have much of a choice in terms of the personnel, did we, really?
It still is depleted. This will be, we've got Chelsea away. We've got slaughtered there the last couple of times. Arsenal away. There was once where we did the Alamo and we after about 60 shots, and we managed to defend it for our lives and get a few on the counter attack. But you know very well, you remember that Moyes system worked 1 in every fucking 30 games when you played like that. Just weren't worth it. It was heartbreaking, bad for your nerves. But nonetheless, if we do lose to Chelsea and Arsenal and don't beat Brentford, there will be certain people who are going to be inclined to say, hang on a minute, that's 1 win in 7. I'm going to have a meltdown. And they'll be looking at Potter. I mean, for fuck's sake, come on. What are you doing
that's fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry, that is ridiculous, because look at the hand that Potter's being dealt, right? you know, with the injuries, with the, I mean, there's so many things here that's going to impact this. But also, Arsenal, that is not going to be a fucking easy game, is it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Chelsea away is not going to be an easy game. Brentford is not going to be an easy game. So, I mean, ideally, you'd expect, if you look at those 3 games, you'd want to be getting something out of Brentford, realistically. Okay. The other 2 games, that's going to be very, very difficult. So, how can you judge Potter after those 3 games? I'm sorry. You know, over the course of the next 3 games, you can't. I'm sorry, you just can't do that. It's not fair. I don't get why people would do that. Give him to the end of the season, right? If you're willing to fucking give Lopetegui 10 to 15 games, you've got to give Potter more than that before you start jumping on his back saying he's shit. Because at the end of the day, look at the tools he's got to deal with. Do you know what I mean? He's not got much. He hasn't.
Listen, right? A lot of people, they were just sticking to this narrative of, oh, he's scared of his own shadow, rabbit in a headlight, standing on the side, couldn't manage, fucked up Chelsea, blah blah blah. Oh, he was giving it on a plate at Brighton, which didn't happen, right? He set up Brighton to run how Tony Bloom wanted it to run, and he did it well, and he's the only manager to have stayed there for several years and leave of his own accord, right? And then he had 8 years of success before that in Scandinavia, taking a team up from the bottom to the top tier into Champions League and beat Arsenal in the Emirates. It's really actually quite under the radar special career that he's had, and he's a very knowledgeable, educated man, deep thinker. And I don't think we've had a manager like that. Well, no, we ain't had a manager like that for a long time, a long time. And I think he could be the difference if only we had the patience to get behind him. But you cannot. I don't expect to say something on a fucking YouTube channel and people just listen and say it. But the thing is, it's to do with YouTube channels. Sometimes they can set off this kind of domino effect where an opinion is put out there and then it gets repeated. And I think personally, I'm going to just take a bit more responsibility than that.
Yeah, and look, it's the right way to look at it as well, because I think this season it's been badly damaged. I mean, badly damaged under Lopetegui. So for me, it's not a good season, right? I think we just need to get this season over and done with. I know we're only just coming into February, but the fact is, I cannot see us getting into Europe this year. I just can't. Okay. So for me, I think we just need to kind of just give Graham Potter just a completely clean slate and say, do you know what? Just go out there and try it. I mean, what we've seen is so far since he's been in charge is a much better, more organised style of football. Okay. So there's definitely been a major improvement in comparison to, Lopetegui. Not that was particularly hard, but there's been a huge improvement. So give him till the end of the season. Get off his back. Yes, we will lose games. There's no doubt about that. We will absolutely lose games, and there might be games where we maybe don't particularly perform. But give him the rest of this season, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be judging Potter probably by the second half of next season. Not. You can't because it's a fucking damaged season already. It is.
Let me tell you that.
No one in the January window. It's just, it's really hard to judge.
The line that really bothered me is ignoring the detail. It was even a revisionist thing about Villa. It was fine when we did well at Villa, but then looking back at it, it's like, oh, don't forget, it's not so good in hindsight because they're always crap after the Champions League. Ignoring the fact that we had a fucking broken team out there full of injuries like Cresswell and Thingy. They bought on Duran and everybody, right? So I just don't know how you can make that argument and just dismiss what that team did in that second half, just in one hit. And then the other statement was, oh, if we don't win in the next 3 games, that's 1 win in 7. Suddenly it don't look so good, does it? Where it's like, oh, come on, have some fucking patience, grow up. Right. So anyway, look, I'm just saying that's going to be my position. I think it's going to be Chris's position, but Chris is up to he can set his own position, yeah?
My position is simple.
Patience.
My position is simple. Give him, be patient. Give him the rest of the season, and he needs time. It's very difficult for a manager to jump in halfway through the season and pick up and try and basically repair what has been completely broken under Lopetegui. It has been, whether it's confidence, style of play, the wrong type of personnel that we brought in. There's so many things and so many variables that he has to deal with having come into the club. So I think you have to give him time, and you can't judge him on 7 games or 8 games a night. It's a very different scenario. If he had the whole of the summer to kind of build a new squad, he had the whole of pre-season. He hasn't had any of that. He's come straight in at the halfway point in January. So really, I mean, it's not like he's had much of a chance, has he? Do you know what I mean?
Like suddenly you're going to just act thick and just look at 1 in 7 and not take any of the mitigation into account. Nothing at all. No injuries. Not that the morale was on the floor. Not that half the players wanted to leave when he arrived. Not that we've pulled out some surprise results like beating Fulham and drawing and nearly beating Villa. Two very surprise results because Fulham are good. All right, the bad one was Palace, but so what, you know? You can't be even Potter, as much as I rate him, every now and then he ain't going to get it right. He's a football manager. It's an inexact science, right? And there are going to be other managers who sometimes are going to get the better of him. He's a human. He's a human being. You can't be perfect all the time. And I know there are people on X, for instance, who think they know exactly what we should be doing, you know, and who we should be picking. When I saw Soufal and Cresswell in the starting lineup last time, inside I was thinking, oh God. But then I kind of thought, well, let's just see how it pans out. And the first 7-8 minutes, I was thinking, oh God. But after that, I could start seeing the benefits. Like they started getting their relationships on the pitch going. They started getting a certain, how can I say, shape to them. And it was clear that he was having a good game, the big centre half, Kilman. So Brentford will crap today. Gaz at 80, good name. Let's hope that continues, that crappiness, into a couple of weeks' time. Listen, I would expect to minimum get a draw at home to Brentford, but what I expect is a win, right? But I ain't going to lose me shit if it don't happen. That's all I'm saying. Cheers, Dave.
All I want to see is a much more organised, higher tempo, better style of football this season.
Yeah.
That's all I'm expecting. And also the work rate, you know, to be absolutely 110%. If we get that and we lose games, I'm okay with that, because as long as I can see the players fighting for the badge, that's all that really matters to me.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, it really is. And I think what I have already noticed with Potter is it is more organised than it has been. It definitely is. And also, as we said already, he's dealing with a very, very makeshift squad, particularly defensively, but also up front as well. So, I mean, come on. I think we've got to kind of look at the situation and just be a bit realistic. Be a bit more realistic, and I am realistic. Honestly, I think if we could end the season now and say finish in 12th spot, I'd take it. Right, honestly,
it's a great little statement from Daz here, and I totally agree. This is how I was brought up. It's what Dad used to say. You got to be quite careful about the quiet ones, right? And that is absolutely right. Someone who's out there with a big mouth, you know, that not they don't usually turn out to be the ones who are not strong, right? Plenty of foremen who were like that, but you wouldn't want to piss them off. Exactly. And so I'm absolutely fine. I mean, fucking hell, do you really want to see a raving loon like Lopetegui ranting and raving on the bloody byline?
Players didn't even know what the fuck he was going on about, mate. Do you know, it is the one question actually, Gal, something we haven't spoken about. We've obviously spoken about the lack of incomings, right? What about outgoings? I mean, are we expect anyone to leave this window as well? You heard anything else about it? There's been some stuff about Danny Ings. I don't know how true that is. Apparently Southampton won it again, but
that'd be bloody stupid to sell players during an injury crisis. Would be tantamount to how can I say? Well, just trying to fix it, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't be unheard of at West Ham, though, would it? It wouldn't be unheard of.
Of course it wouldn't.
We've let go of players before when we're lacking in options.
I'd understand if they were letting a few like. Again, I don't want to see it happen, right? Let me put my hands up. Quite like Irving, but imagine if they shipped Irving out and brought another midfielder in. I can understand if they were doing that as long as the one coming in was what Potter wanted. That is my only caveat. If Potter wants it, that's fine. I'm sure he wants Ferguson.
It's the two players that I guess have had more kind of exposure with regards to potentially departing the club are Danny Ings and Guilherme. Those two in particular. Do you reckon anything's going to happen with them in the next 24 hours?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've been trying to flog Guilherme for bloody ages since Tim was here, haven't they? Been trying to link him up with Besiktas and Saudi, you know, and I think I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes and whether, you know, he's been offered a load of bargain Silkhouse loan signings, and he's just turned them all down and said of no use to me. I hope that's the case. But if that is the case, that explains why the narrative has changed to Potter's now totally in charge, because Potter will also be totally getting the blame if something goes wrong.
It wouldn't surprise me if Guilherme left. That wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I know there's someone in there saying that no one wants to have players, but clearly certain clubs do want to have players. Of course they do. Yeah. You know, Danny Ings, I mean, he was wanted by Southampton at the start of the season. You know, they still need him.
He turned it down. He wasn't taking the pay cut.
I don't see him leaving. I mean, I can't see him leaving. Why would he choose to leave? Why would he? He go to Southampton and get relegated. I mean, what's the point in that, you know?
Well, we want to stay at the mighty West Ham playing at a massive stadium. So John says, I'll be happy to get a few good wins this season, playing decent football, and we'll start to judge Potter properly from that. Yes,
absolutely.
when he went to Brighton, he went there in the summer, and he had a chance to bring in a couple of players, and not many actually, but he brought in a couple. He built that over 3 or 4 seasons. That team. I think the fourth season, early in that season, was when he finally left for Chelsea, but he built it over that time, and it wasn't until the fourth season, because he was starting from a low base, left by Chris Hughton, that he finally started clicking into gear. It got better and better every season. Yeah, I think. Look, I'm just happy to that someone's got a brain and an imagination. Yeah, Ray. No offense to Thurrock, just don't want me fucking football team there, mate. Sorry. Very nice place, Ray. Very nice. Very nice. Don't want to go there every home game, Ray. Don't want to go there every home game. No. I once got stuck in Lakeside car park on Christmas Eve for about. I couldn't get out till midnight. It was a misery, bloody Lakeside. Right. Dave Walker, Judge Potter after the season and pre-season's done. Yes, and let's not do the pre-season in fucking America this year. What a pointless exercise that was. Bad enough having Lopetegui. Taking him to America for God knows how long. We must have missed out 5 or 6 pre-season games against decent home-based opposition or European opposition just to go over there and play in a state that had thunderstorms in on pitches that were like it was like a tractor had just mowed them, right?
Yeah,
pathetic.
It
really,
was. I hate those
fancy
trips,
doing
honestly.
that.
It's pointless.
But the only value in this football club, literally, the only asset in this football club is the players.
Yeah.
You go and risk your players on ploughed fields in America, with fault lightning coming out of the sky. Fuck that. I wouldn't even go on the pitch if I wanted players. Scary stuff. I've seen that. Right. Someone has to live in Thurrock. Yes. And please let it not be West Ham. Right. I know you'd like it, Dave. You'd like West Ham on your doorstep. Well, sorry, Ray. You'd like West Ham on your doorstep. It can't happen, Ray. It can't happen. I'd actually form a march to stop us.
Honestly, it's bad enough that we're in Stratford, let alone going to bloody Thurrock. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, I know. We're finishing a second, yeah. So let's go a few more comments, Chris. I believe Potter is a breath of fresh air. If we support him and give him time, I certainly would turn it around if we all get behind him in the team. Sullivan Brady may be more inclined to invest. I don't think they really care who's in charge. I think a manager is a manager is a manager to them. I think they set this year the target was 11th. That's what they budgeted for. So anything below that, they lose. Anything above that, they win. So if we finish 10th or 9th, we're sort of quids in by to the tune of 3 or 6 million. So if we're below, then we look. So we do need to finish 11th or above, really, because we don't want that counting against us.
I don't think that's going to happen, Gary. I don't think that's going to happen, mate.
Yeah,
I can't see it.
I agree. We're on 27 points with 15 games to go. There's no way we're not winning 3, maybe 4 more games. I was conservative the other day, but looking at the fixture list, I called 6 games definitely. But I firmly believe we can do better than that, especially if the striker starts clicking. And then we get Fulkrug back, and we got Bowen back. Bowen hasn't even played a game for the new manager yet.
Yeah. Do you know what? Let's talk about Chelsea, Gal. Let's talk about Chelsea in that respect tomorrow, because
go on, talk about Chelsea,
Bowen should be back. Well, Bowen should be back, right? I don't think Somerville's back for that game, no, is he? Apparently he's still a bit 50-50, but Bowen's back.
No. Somerville, I said the other day, see, now you're contradicting yourself, because I said the other day he was out and you said he's back.
No, he was back. He's back in training, but then Potter's come out in the press, I think today or yesterday, and he said that he's touch and go with him. So I don't understand that. But also, apparently, Lucas Paqueta is still a possibility. So he hasn't trained all week, but I guess they would have. Well, I don't know if West Ham would have trained today. I'm not entirely sure, but they would have trained over the weekend. But there's been no footage of them training this weekend, so there is still a chance that Paqueta might be available to play. There is
someone said that Somerville was racing around like a whippet.
No, you were saying that. You were asking. I swear you said to me. I don't know. I remember you said to me, "Was he running around like a madman or something like that?" I don't know. I mean, all I can tell you is I saw the video of him training. That's it. So I was assuming that he'd be back by now because he's been training for the best part of a week. So it's a bit strange that he's not. I think he's going to be on the bench, to be honest with you. And I think Bowen. He'll start. I do think Bowen will start tomorrow.
Yeah. Chris, nobody wants to have players anyway. I wouldn't be so sure, I don't think he's inherited. I don't think he'd have come here if he thought the playing squad was that bad. I mean, when you got players who are underperforming, fine. But when you got someone of the quality of Kudus, Paqueta, Bowen, Somerville, Todibo, Kilman. I really rate Kilman. I know he's had some bad games, but I really rate him. Emerson, now he's concentrating again. Wan-Bissaka, the magnificent Wan-Bissaka, who if he took up 1,500 meters would win the Olympics. He would. He can do anything. Put him in any sport, any position, he'll win it. Won't he, Chris? I know you don't like him, but you know.
I love Wan-Bissaka, but I'm not. You know me, I don't get crazy with players like that. I don't. I think I think he's been probably arguably our player of the season so far. That I would definitely say. But
yeah, I like a maverick. I like someone who does something a little bit different. And I also think one property of Wan-Bissaka that I really like is he clearly believes in his own ability, because he doesn't really care who he's up against. He'll just drop the shoulder and go past them, or he'll tackle them. He doesn't care who he's playing against. He doesn't see that, you know, you're playing against City. Ooh, City. You know, like Sufal does when he slams it in reverse and goes back into the box.
No, I think the one thing that I do really like about Wan-Bissaka this season is that he's basically showed a side of his game that I don't think any of us thought that he had. You know, I never honestly thought he had that, the ability to dribble like that. You know, sometimes when he sort of beat, you know, he showed me something that I never expected. And he's been so much more versatile than I imagined as well.
No, nobody thought that Wan-Bissaka would be able to do the stuff that he's done. But it just shows, I mean, you can't write the Bissaka off. You put him in any position. I reckon you put him in goal. He'd be the best goalkeeper in the league. He would be. He'd be, you know. What else?
You know what some people are calling him, yeah? You know what some people are calling Wan-Bissaka?
What are they calling him?
Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You know, when he had that 2-goal scoring streak.
Yeah. I think if he was to, I reckon he can go as far as he could be a horse, right, in the Grand National, and he'd win the Grand National. Wouldn't even fall over that big one in the corner, right? So, anyway.
So, what do you reckon about Chelsea tomorrow, Gal? What's your prediction on that one?
You know what? I'm in the upper tier, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Upper tier. Yeah, yeah.
Right. I don't know where, because you could be behind the goal or you can be slightly around the corner, can't you?
I don't know where I am. I haven't looked properly yet, to be honest with you. I know it's the upper tier, yeah.
But I'm looking forward to that, because I've got a reasonable 1 win, 1 loss, kind of 50-50 record at Chelsea over the years. I've had some amazing wins there and some really crap losses. I don't think I've ever seen a draw.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect tomorrow, mate. I really don't. All I really hope for is that we put in a performance. Okay, we put in a really hard-working performance. I really wanted to see Bowen back 100%. I suppose it's going to be too late for Ferguson to play, isn't it? Right? Do you reckon he'd feature?
Did I just step into the middle of an argument there? Sorry, I left it on the screen. Sorry, Ray and her.
Do you reckon, Gal, I'm talking to you. Do you reckon Ferguson will feature?
No, not tomorrow.
Too late?
I think it is too late. I think he had to be registered. Well, maybe. I think he had to be registered by lunchtime today or something, didn't he?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question. I've no idea.
It's usually lunchtime the day before, I think. Yeah. So, what we got here? Let's just go for a few. Right, tell us your I'm going to put the overlay on. Right, I'm going to pick out a few comments to highlight as well. But give us your. I'm going to go, Chris, tomorrow for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw tomorrow. No, a 2-2 draw, because Chelsea will score goals. I think we will too. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, because I'm going into this optimistic, because of course I am. I'm going. Yes, Dave. AWB for world president. He could nail it. Tell me what else AWB could do. I think it's little we couldn't do.
I'm going to buy you a flipping signed photograph of him, mate, for your birthday.
Oh no, it ain't a man love thing. I just think he's a magnificent, unpredictable, confident player.
Do you know what's going to happen, mate? You waxing lyrical about him tonight. He's probably going to have a fucking nightmare tomorrow. You can see it happening. You can see it happening. Just stop it.
I should have learned.
Let's stop praising him. Let's stop praising him. Let's praise him at the end of the season. Yes, he's had a great season, but I don't know. I'm looking at Chelsea's team at the minute, and it does worry me a little bit, because they have got a lot of strength there. They do.
They've been shit lately, though, haven't they?
Well, they have, but they've had a bit of a defensive problem, haven't they? That's the reason they recalled what's his face. Chalobah back from Palace, because he couldn't even get a look in at Chelsea. They brought him back, and he's straight. You know, he's straight in.
Was he playing for Palace? Was he playing for Palace?
He was playing for Palace, and now he's playing. Now he's like first choice with what's his face, Levi Colwill.
Would you like West Ham in Southend-on-Sea? I could probably cope with that, Southend.
No, I couldn't fucking cope with it. Seriously, if it's anywhere outside, what a load of bollocks that is. If it's anywhere outside of East London, mate, that's fucking bullshit. It's got. I mean, it's bad enough that it's in Stratford, mate. You know, that's the. You actually.
I'll tell you what I'd like. I'll tell you what I'd like, Chris. I'll tell you what I'd like is Romford. I think Romford would be a really good place.
Oh, fuck off! Sorry, no. If you really are serious, I'm hoping you're winding me up here.
No, I am winding you up, because I don't want to see West Ham move out of that area ever, right? But I've got a feeling sometime in the future we're going to be moving out of that area because that land is worth a small
Yeah, it's
fortune.
true,
I mean,
and
tens
that's
of
a worry,
billions of
mate.
dollars. It's big money, right?
Yeah.
That footprint of that stadium is fucking huge. If you take that stadium away, that's probably 20, 30, 40 billions worth of land there.
I know, and that's a worry. That is a real worry. But I don't want to think about that because it stresses me
That's
out,
why
makes me upset.
Krasinski does big deals, and that was the deal, right? That was the deal.
Let's not go down this path, Gal. I'm trying to
Sorry.
end tonight on a bit of a high without thinking
Yeah,
we're
let's do
moving
it.
to
Let's do it.
fucking
No,
Thurrock
I
or
don't think
Southend.
he's getting his land. I don't think he's getting his land deal. I think the LLDC know what he's up to. Thurrock should be bought as a club investment training facility. Yes, I agree with that. Of course it should, because you can do something modern there and put some new buildings up and tear the portal cabins down. It'd be less embarrassing, mind you. Just give them more land, inner city land to sell for peanuts to Galliard Homes, I guess. But anyway, imagine for a cut price. Imagine having a manager that could set a squad of players backwards on a manager we wanted gone. Well, Sullivan gives us yeah, I know. Listen, only Sullivan made that decision. Literally, only Sullivan, with the help of Guillaume Balaguer, the guy I'll never forgive for putting down the West Ham fans. I know people try to speak highly of him. I think he's an absolute tosspot, a patronising one. Wan-Bissaka keeps it up. Hammer of the year. I bet he does keep it up as well, Wan-Bissaka. He does, yeah, for sure. If we move to Southend, we can call ourselves DHSS United. Yeah, maybe.
If we ever move to Southend, honestly, that's not West Ham anymore.
Listen, this is what I prefer. Nigel Khan once said that when we moved to Stratford, it was West Ham 2.0. I would go and watch West Ham no matter where they were, but I do passionately hate this fucking franchise model. And, and that to me is what it would be turning into, a franchise model. It's not just moving back to Stratford, which is kind of where we come from. It'd be moving to a different area altogether. But having said that, Southend is the heart of West Ham catchment area. So look, I'd hate it, but I'd still go. It'd be West Ham 3.0 in Nigel's term.
No, honestly, this is no.
A lot of people would give it up. A lot of people would give it up. And look, the way the pricing's going, I might end up giving it up at some point anyway. AWB is brilliant. At least he gives 100%. Yes, he does. 200%. Have a great day out tomorrow, chaps. Yes, we will. We want to see players working together and giving their all West Ham way. Yeah, and a little bit of organisation, a little bit of working with each other, and some lovely attacking football. We all like that, don't we? We all like that. Got to be registered 24 hours in advance, so 7 p.m. tonight, or 8 p.m. tonight. So cheers, Simon. Thank you for clarifying. So it should be all right. So let's go on to predictions. So we got 2-2, says Ted the Hammer. We've got 3-2 from Claire. Bowen, Kudus and Souček. I tell you what, at one point, right? In fact, let's go for them. At one point during this season, this remaining season, Kudus is going to turn up. And then he ain't going to stop turning up. Chris is going to do a vlog tomorrow. And I might be in it as well.
There's every chance. There's every chance he does.
Yeah. I think the away games are a really good thing to do them at, don't you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm taking the day off tomorrow, so I'm going to make a day of it. Definitely. I think I'm going to get into London about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Everyone likes an away day at Chelsea. Imagine if I'd have done a vlog that day with a David Martin game. It's fucking amazing that day. I love that day.
Are you coming into London at 3 o'clock tomorrow, Gal? Are you going to meet up with us around that time or what?
Yeah, I may do. I'm just trying to sort my schedule out at the moment, but I probably will be able to. Yeah,
you've got a week off, mate. What are you on about your schedule? You've got a week off work.
I've got a lot to do, Chris. So 1-1 draw, Stamford Bridge. Yeah, this is a good one. Romford dog track, but that footprint is too small. It's too small. You need a bigger one. You need transport links. There's no transport links there. I mean, Romford is a walk away to station. It's bloody miles away. No, let's stay in London.
Can we please stop talking about relocating? Honestly, it's giving me a fucking headache.
Chris. Hart says 1-2 West Ham. Head says 2-1 Chelsea. Exactly. In fact, Dave, I'm going to go optimistic. I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham, because 2-1 West Ham has given me a couple of points in my life where it was hilarious, where we went 1-0 down and turned it around. There was one there. When was it? When I was in the posh seats, the really posh seats at Chelsea when I was much younger, and there was a table of 12, and I was the only West Ham supporter. And there was this guy that I knew from a previous life. He wasn't really a nice bloke. He was really aggressive. And we did a sweepstake beforehand, and I picked out £5 each, right, into his pocket. I picked out 2-1 West Ham. First half, we got absolutely demolished, and we only went in 1-0 down. But this geezer I'm talking about, he started going, "Yeah, you're going to beat these." We're in a corporate. We're actually in the directors area, right? It was you had like Frank Bruno and all these other people. What's his name? It was a sprinter, Sebastian Coe and things like that, all on adjacent tables. It was quite premium, as premium as you get at Chelsea at the time. And he started effing and blinding and in this and that, and I thought, well, it's not very much decorum for the director's box, is it? And I thought, you tit. Anyway, we came out second half. Chelsea fell to pieces. We nicked it 2-1. The most hilarious day of my night. We went back into there. I was pissed by this point. Had a couple more beers, and I said, "You're gonna give me my money? Gonna give me my money?" He had to count it out, and he had like, it was 50p left. He had to scramble down inside his pocket to find the last 50p. I said, "Come on, hand it over." He did. Oh, it was a beautiful moment. Beautiful moment. It wasn't about the money. It's about the moment.
I'm going to go for a win tomorrow as well.
Let's do it. Let's go balls out.
I've got to feel. I'm not going 3-1, just to put it out there. I'm going to say 2-1 as well. No. I'm going to go 2-0 West Ham. 2-0 clean sheet. Fuck it.
Yeah, because
got to have a bit of optimism.
You do.
Got to.
Boo, Simon. Chelsea will beat us. No, stop that. I've had that a couple of seasons ago. They beat us with a last minute goal. Hated it. And then got spoken to at the train station by some Chelsea muppet who was effing and blinding about what tossers we are. He thought I was a Chelsea fan. He suddenly dawned on him a couple of stops down the line.
You get this a lot, Gav. What is it? You get a lot of this stuff, didn't you? When we were at the Villa game the other week, you had someone.
No. He wasn't being nasty. He wasn't being nasty. He was talking to me like his mate, and it's like he was an older guy, right? He was just got it wrong. He was a nice bloke, and he was effing and seeing about West Ham fans and how much he hates them, and we stopped them winning at the end there. We got the goal, and I mate, I'll just play along. So I'm in Chelsea crowd, right? I ain't gonna fucking say anything, am I? And then we kind of got a couple of stops down the line, and me and Ross were talking. He suddenly realised I was West Ham. Suddenly he got really complimentary about West Ham. Because we were in Europe at the time. I think we were in like the semi-final or something, whenever that was.
Is this true?
We lost 1-0.
Chukwuemeka down to Dortmund.
Chukwuemeka. See, that's who we should have signed.
Yeah.
But again, Sullivan don't care. We've missed a bargain there. We've missed a bargain. 30 million. Well, maybe it'll be 30 to Dortmund. It won't be 40, will it?
Oh, I don't even want to say,
Nah. Right, let's any other comments? I think that's it for the predictions are all very positive, apart from Simon's anyway. Let the side down, Simon.
Danny, you got to get ready for the vlog tomorrow, mate. Get in the vlog tomorrow, mate.
Oh, we see Danny tomorrow.
Yeah. Make sure you put your makeup on, mate.
Yeah, damn right.
Your fake tan.
Right. Yeah, I'll bring some with me.
You got someone tonight by the looks of it, mate.
No, it's me lighting. Don't be under the illusion.
Bollocks.
Yeah. Right, let's pick a. Thank you everybody for your comments. Thank you Claire and Matt for doing the modding. Hope you haven't had to kick anyone out. But if you have, I'm sure Claire, head of security, has done that. She's quite mean. Let's look for an outro. So look, I'm in a bit of an anti-Sullivan mood today, as you've kind of picked up on already. So I think we will go Canning Town Len. Not going to go the long one. Just get me demonetised. But yeah, let's have a look. So should we do the Slighton one's quite topical, isn't it? What do you reckon? Trouble is, I don't know what these ones are. Here we go. Tourists. Very topical because it's.
I like the tourist one.
The tourist one's brilliant. And until we get the Hammers United result on the concessions, I think this is going to be valid. Hopefully that comes out as a right result. But
it's 100% valid. It's completely accurate. Every single word of that is accurate. It really is. That's why it's so brilliant.
And it's also genius. The videos he puts together, Len. I mean, that Razzle Dazzle. I love that video. I've listened to that so many times over the years. It's amazing. He's a bright bloke, isn't he? But look, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Chris. I'll see you tomorrow somewhere in London. I know you told me where it is. If I find you, I'll see Dodsey out there as well. He's got me the ticket. Thank you, Dodsey. And see you everybody. See you soon. Come on, you ones. Not that one.
What was that?
Fucking idiot. I just picked it, put my mouse over it, and I thought that's the one. Anyway, thanks everybody. See you soon. Come on, you ones.
Hey Goldie, what's on today's to-do list?
Why, it's match day, Dave. Are you hoping for a full house tonight?
Not too fast, as long as we sell all the tickets. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here.
Make more money from the tourists here, so I don't care if you come down here.
Nathan Philippins's got a boy for the night. His ex-missus said you better treat a kiddie right. Buys a kid a ticket and a burger and a Sprite. Got a train home, 200 Nicolai.
Cause I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here. Cause you make more money from the tourists here, so we don't give a monkeys if you come down here.
Stop from when a pocket took a bully in the water. Yeah, but lots of rumble, but it can't get sore. Climbs more stairs than he did before. What's his old seat, then he's got to pay more.
Cause I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here. Cause you make more money from the tourists here, so we don't give a monkeys if you come down here.
The cabbie only goes to football with his wife. He did it as a kid and he's done it all his life. But he don't get a winter fuel allowance anymore. So he's got a serious ticket to a pub for Singapore.
I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here. Cause you make more money for the tourists here, but we don't give a monkeys if you're here next year. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here. Cause you make more money from the tourists here, and I don't